The hardest 6 weeks of my life. Hello there, everyone. 6 weeks ago, I discovered my wife having an affair. We have 2 children, ages 4 and 10. We've been married for 8 years. The previous 2 weeks have been a roller coaster of emotions for me. I begged, pleaded, tried to impress her, and looked like a fool because I believed I could make things right with her. Since then, I've been scouring the internet for answers. I've spent the previous few weeks working out, caring for my children, and concentrating on myself and my family. I can see she's still engulfed in affair fog. I stopped calling her, bringing her coffee, and doing the simple things I used to do for her before everything went wrong. I'm not cruel to her. I simply quit trying with her. She came home from work yesterday night wanting to chat. She chatted to me for 30 minutes last night and said more in that time than she had in the previous 6 weeks, telling me about her activities, such as job and topics we use to discuss. I wasn't sure how to answer. I'd recognize her and listen to her. My brain was thinking, WTF is she doing? Why is she addressing me? So I simply sat there and listened to her. During the talk, I never spoke more than was absolutely required. I stepped outside to smoke when I thought she was finished. She came out with me and kept talking to me. I simply sat there and listened to her. After she was finished, I walked up to my room and forced myself to sleep. That is my query. What is she attempting to accomplish? How should I respond? What should I do? I still have feelings for her. I'm just not sure I'm ready to feel anything with her right now. Story 2. Wife cheated, but we have young kids. Sorry for the lengthy rant, but it's been over a year since I found out, and I'm not getting anywhere with trying to save this relationship. I know, everyone thinks you're SM. PAing, but hear me out. I've seen similar messages on YouTube before, but I never imagined I'd be here, searching for assistance. I'm hopeful about its possibilities, so thank you to everyone who has commented. My wife and I met in college and married shortly thereafter. I entered the service and I'm convinced she remained loyal throughout. We had a wonderful network of friends on whom she could depend while I left, and contrary to popular belief, it's really difficult not to be caught cheating on a woman during a deployment, but it does happen. We had 3 kids along the road. They are my divided image, which is why I haven't fled. And long story short, I was never home during my previous posting, and it was only going to get worse as I progressed, so I chose to leave. I chose to leave after 10 years, because it doesn't make financial sense to leave the military after that. Orders are at least 3 years long, and retirement is 20 years. I opted to start again at the bottom of corporate America in order to be a wonderful parent. This did not sit well with my wife at all. Another long story short, she doesn't handle uncertainty well and was content with the life we'd made together in the military, which is weird given how often she complained I was gone. She sobbed a lot and gave me a laundry list of requests about where it would be, how much I needed to produce, and so on. Everyone understands that you have to go where the jobs are, but I gave it my all, and you would not believe how fortunate we were. I obtained a job in the right state, check, within driving distance of my parents, since she adores them. They are wonderful, check, making what the military would call a 6 figures, check. Public schools are the finest in the metropolitan region, check. HOA costs are inexpensive, and everyone is nice, oh. And I mentioned she was often grumbling about not being able to start her jobs since we moved so frequently in the military, which is true. Within 3 months, she had landed her dream job, if you will. It's not a lot of money, but she's always wanted to do it, and I was there for her 100%, as I am for anything she does, as she has subsequently confirmed. Sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? So, because I'm on r/driven infidelity, it was. It was enjoyable while it lasted, which was about a year. I was constantly at home, not deployed, coached all of my children's sports teams, and had fantastic neighbors to hang out with on vacations. It only took her 5 months of employment for her to begin cheating on me with her supervisor. One thing to keep in mind, it may seem arrogant, but I need to establish the tone. For obvious reasons, I was thin and concentrated on endurance while in the service. I began lifting weights around 6 months after I got out because I was tired of being exhausted throughout my training. I acquired 20 pounds of muscle. As I previously said, it seems arrogant, but I've always been above average in appearance, yet at 5'9", I'm immediately excluded from the Don Juan Club. However, after I altered my physical appearance, I experienced a significant boost in my social standing. Women would literally look me out and gaze on the spot. One of her nefarious pals once quietly approached me. I'm very sure my wife didn't notice any of this, since she's the kind to be envious and never said anything. As a pious guy, I never took advantage of any possibilities in any manner. I didn't throw it in my wife's face to build my ego. I didn't flirt with other women, much less bang them. It was simply a pleasant sensation, as I'm sure any gorgeous person will testify. My wife, on the other hand, didn't seem to mind and just stated, "If your neck vanishes, you need to stop." It was a disheartening answer, but I took it to imply she loved me for who I was, not the form of my body. The remained constant once I began doing weights, which was excellent since it was good. Honestly, neither of us had any complaints, and she even said after the affair that the AP had impotency difficulties. We'll get to that. So, why in the world would my wife cheat on me? I wonder. I still don't feel like I know what I'm talking about. I was trying to be a good father by bringing my kids to a stadium event when I received this text while waiting in the ticket line from a lady who claims to be the wife of the guy with whom she is having an affair. I look at it and laugh out, then show it to my wife, since I'm thinking to myself, this jealous woman is angry her husband has to work with my attractive wife. My wife is stunning, and I still think so, even though the attraction is gone, which is an odd feeling. I immediately show it to my wife and exclaim, "Look at this thing," as I burst out laughing. When my wife notices it, I know combat is only a certain degree of agony a guy can endure. Dante defined the 9th degree of treason for a purpose, and that reason is because it is insufferable. It's like though you've been shot. You have a sense that something is awry, but you're not sure what it is. It's excruciating and everything is off kilter. Like a compass in a sci-fi movie where the magnetic poles don't exist. I basically went through the motions for the kids throughout the stadium event, and when we came home and they were in bed, it was WTF time. She said, we became pretty close during the last several months, and we held hands throughout lunch together, unbearable. The following day, yes, we kissed 4 times. I sobbed like a female dog and envisioned what divorce would be like, but I chose to go to therapy before making any impulsive choices, and after 6 weeks, I simply felt like she was still lying, so I lied and told her I requested AT&T for the text messages. My wife deleted the text at the stadium event after she saw my phone. AT&T said they'd be there in 48 hours, and if she left anything out, I'd be gone. She burst into tears and spilled the beans. Hey, there's another level down here, I reasoned, contacting Dante. So, yep, everything but the Hershey Highway was closed, which neither of us have been into. I repeatedly told her that if anything was missing, when I read the text conversations, I would leave, and she completely believed me. When she found out I was lying later that night, she didn't seem to care either. She was pleased to have it off her chest. She admitted to me that she cheated because she was unhappy. Being unhappy, on the other hand, is nothing new. She is dissatisfied with each significant choice I've made. See the line where we had a lovely existence here after the service. And she is concerned about decisions beyond my control. For God's sake, one military assignment was in Hawaii, and she was unhappy for the first year. Do you believe it? I'm not a drunk, or at least I wasn't, and I'm not abusive. We used to go on walks together. Date evenings are a must. I'm not sure what I could have done differently. I can see where I needed to grow as a spouse after weeks of therapy. Our love languages were diametrically opposed, but who doesn't? She would accuse me of not doing my fair part of housework, despite the fact that I would get up at 5 a.m. to work out, hit the kids to school, go to work, hurry home for their practices, and walk in at 7:45 p.m. MF her employment required her to return home at 3 p.m. There was a lot that occurred in those first few months, but the only reason I'm still here is because of the kids. I honestly can't tolerate being around her most of the time and would leave in a heartbeat, but I don't want my children to grow up in a broken house. I simply can't picture it. I go through phases of drinking for days at a time, after the kids go to bed, abstention, and then drinking again. We hardly have any more. She wants it, but I have to be highly aroused to even consider it. Finally, I believe she found reasons to excuse the affair, which I'm sure was exciting, young, and a lot of fun, and now I just dread thinking about how I'm trapped with this lady for the rest of my life. The thing that irritates me is that she cheated on me with a loser. The man is over 10 years her older, bald, not out of shape but not in shape by any means, and impotent. She claimed I'd see it in the text messages when she believed I had them. A total failure of a profession. Take my word for it. I don't want to provide too much detailed information, but he's been in the same job for decades. He is 6'3" or 6'4" tall, and he was her employer. So I think those two characteristics are enough to encourage a lady to cheat. I'm not sure what you mean. Anyway, I realize this is a big post, and I appreciate anyone who took the time to read it all the way through, and I'd love to hear your comments on it or anything else I should explain. I realize everything was disorganized, but it's been roughly 13 months since this all happened. Anyone sticking around for the sake of the kids. I'm hoping for success tales.